This is an RNZ podcast.
People have historically and for centuries looked at a person who's got good-looking skin being a desirable mate or an attractive person because they're healthy and youthful, and that is simply because it's a mirror, if you like, of your good health.
Collagen is the latest in a long line of quick remedies for radiant skin.
As we age, we tend to produce less collagen, and so our skin appears less firm.
It's on our supermarket shelves. Khloe Kardashian's telling us to have some every day. And some people are even sticking needles in their faces to get it.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm a bit nervous. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So come grab a seat.
Welcome to Healthy or Hoax, where we find out if the health fads that claim to be good for us really are. In this final episode for Season 3, we're looking into collagen.
If you imagine very fine string that then is wrapped around and round in a sort of anti-clockwise manner to create a rope-like structure.
This is Dr. Louise Reiche describing collagen. She's head of the Dermatological Society of New Zealand, so she knows a lot about it.
So what it does is give the support and structure to a lot of the different components of our body and helps to keep us, enable us to move and to have strength, otherwise we would be jelly-like.
Good, thank you. I'm Jill Bonnet.
Welcome, Jill. We can take a seat for now. Sam won't be too far away.
We'll be hearing more from Dr. Reiche later, but first up we sent RNZ reporter Jill Bonnet along to the cosmetic clinic to give microneedling a go.
Okay, well, welcome to the cosmetic clinic, Jill. My name's Sam. I'm the national trainer for the whole cosmetic clinic. I've been in the beauty industry for about 20 years now. Absolutely love what I do. Love helping people look and feel amazing, and that's what we're hoping to achieve for you as well.
Sam explains how microneedling actually works.
So when you fall over and you get a scratch or you've had a cut or something, your skin goes into overdrive, healing it. How microneedling works is it creates a micro injury, very minute injury, but it stimulates all those same little activities, and they are called fibroblasts. There's little amazing little enzymes that live inside our skin, and they go into overdrive making collagen and elastin and things that tighten. Their main thing they're trying to do is heal the skin tissue, but a byproduct of all those things being made is rejuvenation. We get skin tightening, we get plumpness, more volume, and loss of wrinkles and lines. And so people fall in love with this treatment because of the great results they see.
How does it compare to other types of treatment that you can get?
A lot of treatments out there that do the same thing. It is less invasive. It doesn't sound like it when you're talking about needles, but when we think of like strong chemical peels or laser resurfacing, lots of those things are quite uncomfortable, and they can come with downtime where you might not want to leave the house for a week. But with microneedling, people literally come in their lunchtime and they can go back to work afterwards. They'll be a bit pink, but there's definitely no extensive downtime.
I told my children that I was coming here today, and when I described it to them, they said, "You're allowing somebody to stick needles in your face so that your face will look better."
Yeah.
It does seem a little bit counterintuitive.
It does seem funny when you talk about it like that, but I guess when people think of needles, they've had blood taken or immunisation. They're quite large needles. These are almost microscopic in comparison, and they go in and out of the pen over 1,000 times per second. It's so fast, and it's actually very, very shallow. It's not going deep into your skin. We very rarely see a lot of bleeding. We see some pinpoint sort of blood spots, but no, look, it's not as bad as it sounds it will be. There's some parts that are a bit tender, definitely on the upper lip, and right around the orbital rim of the eye. It's a bit more sensitive. We use a lot lower depth around those areas. But I think you'll be surprised at how comfortable it is.
Sam says people generally get microneedling for rejuvenation, but it works really well on acne scars and stretch marks too.
You can do it anywhere.
Sam lifts her top.
These were dark purple about 6 months ago, so I'm getting there.
It's always reassuring when people use the product they're selling. Before we leave, Jill gets some before photos taken.
Quite daunting, actually. What looking at yourself, isn't it, in detail?
I always call it the truth serum.
Jill has beautiful English rose type skin, but Sam still thinks she'll get some benefit from microneedling. And, we're making a podcast here, so she's definitely getting the treatment.
Any questions on those findings?
No, except can we delete all those photos, please?
Jill has to spend 2 weeks following a very specific skincare regime to ensure she's in tip-top shape for the microneedling. In the meantime, we called up Dr. Angela Hou.
Hi, I'm good. It's nice to finally meet you.
Dr. Hou is a fourth-year dermatology resident at George Washington University. She also wrote one of the few research papers we could find on microneedling.
So back in 2017, I had looked at the various studies that had come out on microneedling and did kind of a review of all of the studies to look at where microneedling was used and how it was used and what the findings were from those studies. So we found that microneedling seemed overall to be effective and fairly safe option for various dermatologic conditions such as scars, acne, skin rejuvenation, and even sometimes things like melasma. Most of the studies so far have been fairly small, or they haven't been randomized controlled studies, which is kind of the gold standard as far as research studies go. But in the studies that have been done so far, it seems to work well with good results. It seems overall to be pretty effective.
Okay, so good news for Jill as she heads under the needle.
Hi. Hi, how you doing?
Come on through. You excited?
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm a bit nervous.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So come grab a seat.
First, Jill goes through a consent process, checking things like skin conditions, scarring, sunburn, and what to avoid post-treatment, like strong creams or too much sun.
The next 24 hours, it's important you keep nice and cool. Keep hydrated. I'm going to try and drink about 8 glasses of water just to really help flush everything. You want to avoid steam, sauna, spas, even cooking. You don't want your face over the hot. You may have to get someone else to do the cooking tonight. Avoid exercise and swimming the next 24 hours. Just anything that's going to make you hot and sweaty.
There are a few side effects to be kind of aware of, like flaky skin.
What this is because we're increasing cellular turnover, we're making nice new skin cells come up, it's the old ones flaking off, so that's not a bad thing.
Temporary redness.
That's normal, definitely for the next 24 hours. If you found you were still red after 3 to 4 days, get in touch.
Swelling, tenderness and blood spots are normal too. But there are potential risks to microneedling.
Skin discoloration, where your skin goes darker or lighter. Development of infection that could lead to scarring. And this is often by picking, touching, hot steam while you're cooking, going into a public swimming pool, things like that after the treatment. And if you're prone to cold sores, sometimes actually having the treatment, because it's causing a little bit of trauma, could trigger one to come out.
The one thing Sam can't guarantee is the outcome.
People who get the great results tend to have really good skin integrity already. So that comes from your genetics, they've stayed out of the sun, they're having a really good diet, lots of essential fatty acids and vitamins. So they have lots of good ingredients already in their skin. So they get really fast results. Other clients who potentially don't, they may be smokers, they may have a bad diet, they may get a lot of sun exposure. There's less goodness in the skin for the new cells to, grab ingredients to make collagen. We still can get great results. Potentially it's more treatments, a longer treatment plan. And then some people may never get the result they want because they leave here and yes, they'll go to the gym, get hot and sweaty, they won't use the home care. You need that hydration for collagen to be made. It really comes down to lots of different factors. Everyone's very, very different. I'd love to say to everyone, 3 treatments, boom, but it really does vary.
Despite the uncertainty and the risks, Jill signs the consent. Like I said, we do have a podcast to make, Jill.
Okay, so we're ready to get started. I'm just going to wash my hands.
Sam also wears gloves, cleanses Jill's face with an antibacterial solution and gives her a little stress ball buddy to squeeze.
It's on. And we're going to start just in the centre of your forehead now. It's going to be a very small spot. Okay, counting down. 3, 2, 1. How does that feel?
That's not too bad, is it?
Not too bad? Great.
Sam does 4 passes over every area. Some spots were worse than others.
No, you're right, that does come a bit sharper, doesn't it? Around the cheekbone.
Just because it's near that eye area, it's a bit more sensitive.
The entire treatment takes about 10 minutes and everything goes to plan.
Okay, perfect. So I'm nice and pink and there's some little spots of black. Exactly what we want. And we're done. How was that?
Yeah, that was not too bad. I didn't know what to expect, right? It was pleasantly not painful.
Oh, good.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so you wouldn't guess that you're injecting something. Like, it doesn't feel like you're injecting something, does it? It's kind of less painful than waxing.
Yeah.
Not hurty.
So you think you could go through that again? Not too bad?
I think that was fine.
Amazing.
Like, they say that you have to suffer for your beauty, don't they? But that's actually not really much of a trauma. It feels a little prickly at this, like, you know how you get tingles if you've maybe got a little bit of sunburn or something.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it's meant to.
Yeah, no, it's definitely nice and pink. Your forehead's settled down already, actually, which is nice. So that's all that increased circulation, all that blood flow is coming to the area. And then your blood has nice new nutrients, oxygen, which helps too with that process of making the nice new collagen and skin cells. So exciting. Skin's loving you right now.
Now, Jill just had the 1 treatment. Sam recommends at least 6. And at nearly $300 a go, it's not cheap. So let's get Jill back on the line. Hey, Jill.
Yeah.
Did you have any side effects?
The day I had it was very strange, leaving and walking back to work. My face was on fire. It was really hot and red. But, you know, it didn't last very long. And overall, I wouldn't say that it was, like, uncomfortable or painful or anything. Just, yeah, as I said before, a strange sensation.
So when you say not very long, are we talking hours or are we talking a day?
I could still feel heat in my face the following morning. It was, by that stage, it was the kind of heat you get if you're just a bit embarrassed, you know, not like as if you'd just run a marathon.
Can you see any difference?
To be honest, no, I can't. I did it before and after on my own, and I had a look at it yesterday to see if I could genuinely see anything, and I can't. Having said that, they did say that the results can take a bit longer, and the advice also is that you need 2 or 3 or 4 sessions before you normally see good results.
Would you do it again?
No, but that's probably down to a few different things. Maybe it's very expensive for one thing. It wasn't an unpleasant experience, and I'd give it a go to see whether it definitely worked, but probably the cost would rule it out for me, and also just that the things that it aims to do probably aren't quite relevant to me.
Right. So you could take it or leave it? Would that be fair to summarise?
Yeah.
But you don't hate us for making you do it?
No, not at all. I'm also just probably a little bit sceptical about a lot of these things, so I wouldn't be one of those people who would naturally get something like this done.
But you did for us, so thank you very much.
Hey, no worries.
So Jill could take it or leave it, but Dr. Hou is pretty positive about the research into this treatment.
I think all of the studies done so far have all been very positive and have shown really great results. There haven't been any large kind of randomized controlled trials, but I think based off of what we know, especially done in the hands of somebody who's experienced and is trained in doing this, I would say I'd probably give it a 4.
But remember Dr. Louise Reiche, head of the Dermatological Society? Well, she takes a more cautious approach to microneedling.
What we're not too sure about is if that's done repetitively, and if you follow the school of thought that every cell, including the skin cell, might have an inbuilt number of replications it will undertake in its lifetime before it reaches senescence or its individual cell old age, then if you are creating a lot of artificial injury by these other techniques, is there evidence that 10, 20 years later you might in fact accelerate the aging? And There's not a lot written in the cosmetic literature, but we are starting to get that impression to start with. You are making your face look refreshed and new, but you're probably postponing and allowing yourself to have accelerated aging later.
And if that isn't bad enough, Dr. Reiche questions the mid to long-term benefits too.
You're using it as an incentive to stimulate lifestyle changes that you'd be meaning to get around to, but now this was what was going to spur you, then it may well be that it has been a really sustainable difference it has made to your appearances and your quality of health. But if it were done as a way to compensate for years of smoking and alcohol abuse, poor diet and inadequate sleep, then it's a temporary kidding yourself.
And instead, she suggests just making the lifestyle changes.
That $3,000 would buy you a lot of gorgeous hats, support New Zealand manufacturers increasingly coming out with really comfortable, practical clothing that enables us to exercise and be thermally comfortable whilst also protecting ourselves from the sun, so we can support our own New Zealand industries. We can support our own New Zealand sheep and beef farmers, fruit and veggie growers if you're not growing your own, and then to apply ideally sort of New Zealand or Australasian made sunscreens that are also sensitive to the environment.
So microneedling works, but it's not cheap and, well, you have to brave those needles. So is there an easier way?
Good morning.
Khloe Kardashian, influencer and partner in the New Zealand collagen company Dose & Co, says she has 2 teaspoons of the supplement in her morning coffee every day.
I just woke up, so I look crazy. I'm making my coffee now, if you could hear it.
Now, we're not the first to ask if collagen supplements are the way to go. Fair Go looked into it.
But do these collagen supplements really make a difference? Well, one thing's for sure, they certainly make a difference to your bank balance.
So is it worth it? Dr. Reiche is pretty clear on collagen's importance.
So in a typical range, it constitutes about sort of 70% of the kind of weight of the skin, for instance. But with age, there's a gradual loss of the degree of the collagen, but also the quality of the collagen. And perhaps an analogy to give would be if you were sending a fragile item in the post, you might wrap it up with lots of bubble wrap. And the little air pockets of that bubble wrap will gradually get popped and flatten out. So over time, the bubble wrap will not provide the same support.
There are some things we can't change.
We know genetics can make a difference.
But many things we can, like exercise and sun safety.
We know that how much sleep you get regularly can make a big difference to how quickly the skin will show its aging. Smoking exaggerates that loss of the collagen structure, and then also exposure to environmental pollutions, excessive alcohol, dietary deprivation, so starvation, and then a poor quality diet over a lifetime can also have an impact.
Reiche says there have been international studies which have shown dietary changes can make a difference for people who are protein deficient, but she's still not sold on supplements.
Companies producing collagen and promoting it do have scientific data to support their claims, but the claims are pretty small and they are recorded in journals that are, should we say, not mainstream. And when you're looking at statistical difference, it certainly does make a statistical difference looking at the skin in a very magnified sense, to put it in a simplistic way. But if it was that I was taking these collagen supplements, for instance, would my friends even notice? Then the answer is no. And from that perspective, I believe that the claims are a bit exaggerated.
And taking supplements might not necessarily have the effect you're after.
The body will give preferential distribution of those nutrients to where it is needed. So if you are taking a drink or a food substance hoping that it's going to go to your cheek where you want to fill out a fine wrinkle, it may first, in fact, go to repair a tendon or a muscle where there's been a bit of injury. we can't necessarily direct, despite dreaming and hoping it to go particularly where we think we'd like it to.
There are other complicating factors too.
So if the collagen supplement comes with the right kind of minerals and the right kind of vitamins, then there's probably a better chance it'll get absorbed. We know that the human body has evolved over a long period of time, whereas the introduction of a Western diet and supplements is quite recent. The gut, therefore, has evolved best to absorb nutrients in the way, if you like, that nature's packaged it. We're now getting to a stage where we're going backwards again and perhaps realising that our grandmothers were right. Data such as looking at the Mediterranean-style diets are looking not only at the individual components but the lifestyle as well. So getting nutritional value from the wide range of foods that you're having that are freshly sourced, ideally that day, that are locally grown, come with their own microbiome, and that may well enhance our gut's ability to absorb and make better use of those nutrients. And there can also be social factors too, in terms of people eating with others, sitting down and communing and having a good laugh. It's in that setting that we're starting to realise that these are the people who have the least ageing changes over time and have a greater sense of well-being. And we in New Zealand are privileged to have the input of our Māori culture, who understand that well-being is not just about the physical well-being, but the emotional, social and spiritual balance also impacts. So breaking it down to really, really tiny components that have been boiled up in a factory and extracted and reconstituted and often put together with a bit of ground up stone to add the calcium carbonate, and then putting in an artificial gelling substance so you've got a capsule, and then we think opening up a bottle that looks kind of clean and sparkly and has had a tin foil cap and swallowing that is going to give us best impact by swallowing through our gut, then we are kidding ourselves, because that's not the way we have evolved in the world that we live.
So let's give both our potential collagen boosters a rating then. Microneedling does seem to work if you're getting it done right by someone who knows what they're doing, and that's going to cost money. Bear in mind too that while you might be rejuvenating your face now, you might also find that you've accelerated aging later on. So based on that, we're going to downgrade Dr. Hou's Healthy or Hoax rating of 4 down to a 3. And supplements get a 3 too. They might do you good, but you can't control where the collagen's going, so you might not get the smooth, glowing skin you're after. Here's Dr. Reiche's advice for keeping your skin looking its best.
I do think in terms of if we're going to make a big difference to the health and outcome of New Zealanders, we are better to recommend the holistic lifestyle, and then when you are truly healthy from the inside, your skin will in turn glow better.
Kia ora koutou katoa. Thanks for listening to this final episode of Healthy or Hoax, Season 3, hosted by me, Stacey Morrison. A shout out to Jill Bonnet for braving the needle for us, and to Sam and the team at the Cosmetic Clinic for being so gentle with her. Also thanks to Louise Reiche and Angela Hou for their expertise. This episode was produced by Liz Garton and engineered by Alex Aylett McMillan and Jeremy Veal. The executive producer is Tim Watkin. You can find all the Healthy or Hoax episodes on the RNZ website or any of the podcasting apps. And while you're there, follow and rate us, and check out all RNZ's other great podcasts.